Good morning, everybody. Stu Smith here, going live. Hope you guys are well. We are live on YouTube and Facebook over here, and Instagram over here. Should be popping up any second. So, welcome Tuesday live Q&A with me, Stu Smith from StuSmithFitness.com. Today we're going to talk about group training, something I enjoy doing so much. In fact, today was one of those days where I got to probably do the ultimate in group training, where I am working out with 800 high school kids and probably 50 midshipmen who are in charge of them for this week. It's called Summer Seminar, and it's just something fun I enjoy doing, and I'm grateful to the Naval Academy for inviting me over every year to do this group. I get to do 3 of them in the summer, so I'll see 2,500 people over the summer who are high school kids thinking about serving in some way, which always fires me up. And I hope to be able to teach them some things that I've learned over the years in this. So we do you're somewhat limited when you have 800 people in a group. I'm standing on a podium with a microphone, and we do a series of exercises. Most of them are just kind of fun exercises where you're counting loud and you're working together as a group. Jumping jacks are perfectly uniformed, and push ups and squats and sit ups and flutter kicks and plank pose. One of my favorite things to do now is to the process of um, go through the process of all the fitness tests that they're doing. So, as a summer seminar candidate, you have to pass the CFA, which is a basketball toss, which, believe it or not, throwing a basketball on your knees is somewhat challenging. You got to practice it if you want to score well on it. I asked the person who created this test a long time ago. He was a 40-year coach and administrator at the Naval Academy, Coach Ed Peary, rest in peace. I asked him, why do we do this? And this was back in the 90s when I asked it. And he says, because it measures athletic potential. And I just let it go because it was like Yoda speaking to me. And I was like, very well. So the basketball toss, pull ups, push ups, sit ups, a shuttle run, and a mile run. That is the candidate fitness assessment that these candidates who want to go to a service academy have to take as part of their entrance exam. So we discuss like what we can about focus on breathing and pacing for sit-ups and proper hand placement for push-ups, and you know fitting these into their workout schedule. And it's just a lot of fun. And then we go into, if you get accepted into the Naval Academy, now your fitness test changes to plank pose and cadence push-ups. So what I had created years ago is the little workout called Death by Push-Ups. So I put all of them through this activity where we do a 10-minute plank, and every minute on the minute, we do 10 push-ups. I give them 5 to 10 because not everybody's able to do 100 push-ups. So we play around with it. We even do knee push-ups. I'd rather people go all the way down and all the way up on their knees than doing like these little head bobs that some people call push-ups. And so it's more educational. It's kind of like a fitness clinic than it is a hard workout. But we do run, we do lots of squats and push-ups. By the time we're done, we've done a couple hundred push-ups, and we even do sit-ups on a pace. Teaching the pace, because yes, if you want to resubmit, competitive scores, you're probably going to need 80, somewhere in there, 80 to 102 minutes in sit-ups. And sit-ups and pull-ups are also part of advanced training. Like if you want to go Navy, EOD, SEAL, dive courses, you're going to take the Navy PST, which is swim, pull-up, push-up, sit-ups, and a mile and a half run. So, all these people have been practicing pull-ups for their CFA, but a lot of them, I've seen it, a lot of them will quit doing pull-ups after that because they don't need to do pull-ups anymore for their fitness test, especially if they're not going into one of these professions. They just do the plank, push-ups, and a mile and a half run. But being able to do pull-ups is kind of like the great differentiator in fitness. Either you can do pull-ups or you can't. And my advice to all of you is to get good at pull-ups, because it will help you so much. Rope climbing, grip muscles, pulling yourself over obstacles, walls, fences, whatever you need to do to get over these obstacles that will be part of your training in your future. Pull-ups will help you be able to do that. So don't blow them off anymore. Keep on pushing, keep on pulling, and you're going to see big progress. Because I will tell you, there's a lot of people in their 40s and 50s that have never done a pull-up before because they just didn't practice them. So you need to practice. I think a good standard, like Ryan says over here, 20 pull-ups. I think I've been doing good at 20 pull-ups because my favorite exercise was deadlifting. I will tell you this, something I enjoy is pull-ups and deadlifting. So we'll do a pulling day. If you're doing deadlifts, rest with pull-ups. Something I like to do is hang as well in between deadlifts, just to kind of have a decompression exercise in between those exercises, deadlifts especially. Let's see, what is Ryan saying over here? Oh, I got another question before Ryan says, is it okay to run on an empty stomach and eat afterwards? Sure, if you want to. I will say this, though, if you're like haven't eaten anything all day or all night and you wake up in the morning, you probably have some pretty low blood sugar. So you're probably limited on the intensity that you can go. If you're going a moderate intensity, lower heart rate, no big deal. But let me tell you, if you're doing sprints or hills or anything that makes running harder and your heart rate higher, you're going to be somewhat limited in the amount of time that you have available to run that. You might have 20, 30 minutes in there somewhere before you start feeling lightheaded and dizzy because you have nothing in your belly, nothing in your bloodstream. So, yes, it is okay to run on an empty stomach, but it also depends on your intensity of that run. If it's a sprint, I'd recommend having something. If it's just a nice, easy jog, walk, conversational pace running, go all out. You don't even need to eat anything. Just hydrate. What's this? Looking great, Stu. You look like you're 35 or 40. Well, I appreciate it. 56 and a half as of this month. Let's see. Is high cholesterol disqualifier for SF? If yes, how high is too high? I don't know. I'm pretty sure it is. Are there waivers? Are there medications you can take, or foods you cannot eat and eat to help? Yes. But a lot of times it's genetic, and you got to watch your diet and try to fight it all your life. But I don't know the details of that. I know high blood sugar, high cholesterol, probably triglycerides too. There's a number for it. I don't know what too high is, but I'm sure you can find it if you look up medical disqualifiers for military service. Google that thing, and I bet you'll find some numbers on that. Let's see. Hey, Stu, doing your Coast Guard AST prep program. Any tips on under swimming on top of the water halfway, then swimming underwater halfway back? So over-unders are a great drill that you will do. Sometimes you'll do them in, definitely in dive schools, Air Force PJ training, Coast Guard training. Over-unders are this. You're going to swim underwater for 25 yards, and you're going to swim back nice and easy, freestyle, side stroke, whatever, and just try to catch your breath with this stroke, so you're breathing every stroke in order to like calm your heart rate down. And then you got about another 30 seconds before you have to do it again. Usually it's like the one PJ test I really like, and we do this one often. You do 5 sets of over under. So underwater down, freestyle, side stroke back, and you go every minute and a half. So instead of every minute on the minute, you go every minute and a half. So in 5, you should be done in 7.5 minutes. That's actually 7, but you get 30 seconds leeway there. So yeah, that's the workout. It's a great little workout. You need to get used to being able to do that. Never do it by yourself, but try to pick a stroke. Well, first of all, 2 things. Your underwater stroke needs to be efficient. So you're getting over there in 5 strokes at the most, right? And you're gliding as much as you can. You're not just arm pulling and kicking. You want to kick as little as possible. You want to arm pull as little as possible. You want to glide as much as possible. That will keep your heart rate down to a point where you're basically just holding your breath and walking. Right? That's the kind of exertion you want to be able to do underwater. Right? If you're kicking a lot and pulling a lot, you're just wasting oxygen. So kick and glide, pull and glide. There's 2 glide phases to the underwater stroke. Arm pull glide, like breaststroke pull out. Hold that glide for a couple seconds, kick and recover, hold that glide for a couple of seconds, and see if you can get across the pool in 4 to 5 strokes. That's when you know you're really efficient. Then you come back nice and easy, just side stroke back. You come back, it's been about a minute. You got 30 seconds to do it again. Focus on inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. And 30 seconds later, you go again. So that's a great workout. In fact, we'll probably add that today just for fun because I like that one. Don't neglect protein and iron and lots of water for your electrolytes. It will catch up to you. Okay. What were your numbers on the lifts when you were strictly a power lifter? Well, I was a power lifter in my teens and early 20s. So I'm somewhat limited with age, but I had never broke 400 on bench, but I was like 385, weighing about less than 200. And then I had 450 on deadlift and like 405 on squat. So not world class by any means, but those 3 were pretty good for teenage power lifter. Yeah, I think the most I've ever done, like once I got into lifting again, it's like 450. Never broke 500 on squats or deadlifts. So between 400, 405 and 445, somewhere in that range was where I was on squats and deadlifts. Never got higher than 385 on bench. So, but yeah. Does dry apnea training help at all? Meaning, if you currently don't have access to a pool or beach, is it even worth to do? I don't know. I mean, I guess, there's some science behind, hypoxic training, saying it doesn't help with conditioning and, hey, whatever. I know that I feel like I breathe better when I do it. So when I'm doing a lot of freestyle skip breathing, like every 8-10 strokes per breath, my heart rate gets really high and I get used to CO2 buildup. And then I go out for a run. It's like my lungs are wide open and it's just easier. So maybe it has nothing to do with conditioning and performance on that, but it just feels easier when I'm running at whatever pace I'm running at. So I don't think the science is there to say it helps, but I know it feels better. if that makes sense. Almost like the science of foam rolling. All right, science of foam rolling says it's not going to help you with flexibility, not going to help you with mobility, but I know I feel better when I do it. And it's like a little mini massage that I give myself whenever I use the foam roller, and I feel better. So maybe that's about all it does. When doing gear, ditch and dons, mask, snorkel, boots, fins, trident. The hell? What do you put on first? I don't know. I've never swum with a trident before. You talking about like a 3-pronged trident? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but we usually just do ditch and dons with mask, snorkel, and fins. You leave your boots on, your booties on, and you um, take your fins off, put them between your knees, take your mask off, put it between, wrap it around, and stuff your snorkel in there. You put your snorkel in second, put your mask on last, sit it down nice and uniform, and then come up, hand over your head, take a couple big deep breaths, go down, pick it up, put the mask on, put the snorkel in, put your fins on, and that's your dawn of the process. I would always, if you're donning, put your mask on first. That way you can see everything that's going on. All right, good questions. Looks like we got some questions over here on Instagram. And then I'm going to go through these questions real quick, or at least some of them. And then I'm going to show some videos that I have in the hopper here. And we can discuss some of those video critiques. So, all right. Stu, I leave in a week for Navy boot camp, SEAL contract, and just wanted to say thanks. Hey, good job. Watched all your videos and streams for almost 2 years now. Hey, man, Kevin, good luck. You're going to have a few of our guys in that class as well. So find them. They're good dudes. I class up for dive prep soon and was wondering if you had any tips for me. Yeah, don't blow off treading. Treading, swimming with fins, under overs, you need to practice those things. Just like we were discussing. Don't blow off any of those things. So practice your pool skills as much as you practice your swimming. 500-yard swims and 1-mile swims with fins, you should get used to them. Any tips for full body split hypertrophy driven volume and exercise sequencing will be great insight. Not sure what kind of question that is. That's like a book. Full body split hypertrophy. Well, it's up to you how you want to do it. I personally, I don't like doing too many full body days. Though today we did one. We did a pull up, push up, squat, tire flips, chain drags, sled pulls, bear crawls, fireman carries. So we did a full load of the body, mixed everything in. So I like doing those. And the day before we did nothing but cardio. So if I'm doing a full body split, I tend to break it off with full body one day, a little bit of cardio in there, not much, and then a big cardio day afterwards. Then we'll do another full body day and we'll maybe do a mobility day. So non-impact cardio in between and foam rolling and massaging and stretching and all that stuff. Then we'll do a third full body day. And I break it up. Usually it's a high volume calisthenics. I will say this: if you're doing a full body with weights, you'll probably need a couple of more days in between because that recovery is really hard, especially if you're trying to do like bench press heavy or I see your hypertrophy. So high rep bench presses, high rep squats and deadlifts probably would maybe not do all three in the same day. You can, you just need some mobility day, cardio day afterwards before you do it again, typically. I personally like to do more split routines where I do upper body one day, lower body the next with a moderate bit of cardio mixed in there. And then we'll do a third day where it's a mobility day or just a cardio only day. And then we do upper body, lower body, third day of cardio or mobility day work again. That's how I tend to split it up. But there's so many different ways to split up your split routine. My advice is find the one that you like, do it regularly, habitually, and then change it up every now and then just to see how you do with a full body cardio split. Let's see. Stu, what is the name of your book for us older guys? I got it right here. Highly recommend The Ageless Athlete, Fitness Over 50. And yes, you're 71, you can do this book. I promise you. In fact, I have fathers doing it with their teenage kids. And it's a great program for them as well. So it's, yeah, people been sharing the wealth with the younger generation using this method as well, and it's good progression for them as to do. Let's see. All right, looks like you guys are talking to each other here. Any tips on managing volume and sequencing into full body split for? Didn't we just answer that question twice? Should longer swim fins in phase 2 all be in the pool, or should I try to do as many open water swims as possible? Well, that's up to you. Not everybody gets the opportunity to swim open water. A lot of people don't have safe open water or clean open water areas to swim in. If you do, take advantage of it. I would highly recommend it. But be safe with it. Like if you're at a beach or a lake or whatever, try to stay parallel to the beach, when you're swimming back and forth. We have this one spot on the Chesapeake Bay, Sandy Point. It's a 500-yard beach from one end to the other, 500 yards back. So we get 1,000 yards every time we do a lap, and we'll just go back and forth. And if anybody panics, I tell them just to stand up because it's 3 to 4 feet deep, for 100 yards out. That's a safe place to swim. But yeah, and don't do it alone. If you have an opportunity to swim at a beach with lifeguards, that's what I would recommend as your primary open water source. I would avoid doing it alone. What's a hard water drill to try out? Well, I will tell you this. I'm going to show you this right here. This is an article that I wrote. It's in every one of these workout books that are preparing you for drown proofing. And it's a drown proof workout that you simulate hands being tied behind your back and your feet tied together. You simulate that. You don't do it. You swim 100 yards in between each events of treading and drown, bobbing and floating and doing front flips and back flips. And you travel for 100 yards with your hands behind your back and your feet together. You're just dolphin kicking for 100 yards. That's a hard one. That's a really good one to get good at everything. You add treading to it, and it's even harder. What were your PST's result, if you can recall? I was pretty good at the PST upper body stuff. 25 pull-ups. Actually had 140 push-ups and had like 110 sit-ups. But remember, that was a different way of doing it back then. You could lift one arm off and shake it. So I'd get like 80 in 1 minute, right? And then I'd have another minute to like shake off, do 5 more, shake off, do 5 more. And I for a while there, I could do like 10 more, and I have 100 by like a minute, almost like a minute time. And then the next minute, I would try to get sets of 10 or sets of 5 till I got up to 140. But that's a different way to test. 130 to 140 were my zones usually. And then I slowly started dropping it down and just was satisfied with 100. And then they changed the rules and you can't leave your hands off the ground now. So, I usually just try to keep it in between 90 and 100. Same for sit-ups, pull-ups, 20 plus. My swim wasn't that good when I was before going to buds. I was like 8:45, and I could run just under 9. And then after buds, I was like 3 years in the team, still taking that test just because we just did. I got it down to a 6:40 swim, all CSS, and my run I got down to an 8:15. So I was definitely better after buds than I was before buds. So I think I just grew into the PT, cardio world. Tips and articles for doing your first underwater. I've been able to do 3/4 of the length before popping, and I know it's mental. Everything I just mentioned about underwater swimming apply to that. In fact, you can go to my YouTube channel and you'll see underwater swims. My Facebook or Instagram reels have some underwater swims on there. TikTok has some underwater swims as well, but go and search it, underwater swim, Stu Smith, and you'll see me swimming it, and how I do it. It's all gliding. There's nothing else to it. And I'm telling you, once you learn how to pull and kick properly and glide with a tight streamline, it will be no harder than walking and holding your breath. I promise you. Like, I don't do any particular breath holding drills, and I can still do a 50 because I have an efficient stroke to do it. So, yeah, mental. I would say it's more technique than it is anything else. Okay, let's see. I've got IT band syndrome, and that just won't go away. Got injected with steroids. Damn. TAC-P phase 2 secured this week. Nice work. But now 3 weeks later, I can't run more than a mile. Yeah, IT band sucks, man. I will tell you this, something that has saved me with the IT band issues is, I know people say it doesn't help, but it makes mine feel better. And that is foam rolling your thighs, your hamstrings, your butt, and that side, line. But even more so, that kind of hurts, to be honest with you. So if your IT band, you're foam rolling it and it hurts, you probably need something more than just foam rolling it. So my advice is get a massage tool and something with a nice thick pad on it that just vibrates. And let me tell you, before and after you run, if you get like the car buffer, orbital car buffer, and just put it on the outside of your knee and just massage all the way from your hip all the way down to your knee for like 5 minutes, it will help tremendously to a point where you can run. And then after you run, you sit down for a little while, it gets tight again. That kind of sucks. And if you can just warm it up with that car buffer, it does help. Now, there's all kinds of physical therapy things that you should be doing as well. Talk to a physical therapist about it, see what they recommend. There might be some glute medius strengthening that you can do to help counterbalance what tends to occur with IT band. But yeah, I will tell you this. I had an IT band flare up last summer when I was picking up our running, like we were up to like 35, 40 miles. And I would foam roll, like it hurt to walk down steps. So when that happens, you have an IT band flare up typically. And I could run, I could warm it up, it felt fine. After the run, it started hurting. I sit down, type all day. It got really tight, so I just started car buffering it or massage tooling it and giving it that 50, 60 hertz frequency of therapy. And it made a huge difference to a point where I just did it before and after every run, and it went away. Now, I also took some anti-inflammatory medication every meal for a week. That's going to help you tremendously. So I would suggest Motrin or ibuprofen, but you got to take it with a meal. Just take 400 milligrams every meal. Just get used to it for a week and see what happens. All right, looks like any advice on mobility day focused on shoulders? Need that mobility for swimming? Absolutely. We do a whole bunch of stuff. In fact, if you go to my Instagram, you'll see some things that we're doing. You know, we put our hands on a bench right here and then drop our head in between, do it like this, holding on to like a PVC pipe, get down in there and like stretch all of this. You need to stretch your lats, you need to stretch your deltoids and your traps, your rhomboids back there. You know, all of that needs to be stretched. And, you know, that's just the way you do it. You know, you can Google it too. Streamline mobility training, swimmers streamline mobility training, and you'll see some crazy stuff. I use the TRX, like to really stretch things out back there. Lay on a foam roller, parallel to your spine. Just lay it right on your spine, and then just big chest stretch, because your chest and your shoulders and your lats are all kind of keeping you like this, and your biceps too. You need to stretch your biceps so you can straighten your arms. Actually, all of that's very important. Good question though. I DM'd you my CSS today. If you did, we'll go through it. In fact, let's do that. My friend said they had a blast at PEP with you at Naval Academy Summer Seminar. Yeah, it was fun. That was a good group. You know, usually I see people of all kinds of fitness levels out there, and there were, but I'd say a majority of them were cranking out good push-ups and hanging with the sit-ups and focusing on their breathing when they run. You know, those are just some of the tips we did. Hanging on the plank pose the whole time. I will tell you, a 10-minute plank pose is not fun. It is pure mental because it goes beyond physical. It is a mental challenge. 10-minute plank every minute on the minute, do 10 push-ups. Got yourself a workout that will prepare you for the plank and the push-up section of your fitness test, if that's something that's in your future. Yeah, you want to get better at plank? Try the death by push-up exercise. Do you think you can make it through another hell week if you had to? Ooh, I wouldn't want to. I'm 56 years old. You know how much that would hurt me? I would be unable to walk after a week of that. I would think I could hang pretty good mentally. But yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. Yeah, it's a good question though. 10-minute plank is brutal. I can crank out 5 minutes. You know what? You can do 10 minutes if you can do 5 minutes. You just got to try harder. And you need some company, because if you're doing it by yourself, the mental is so hard. If you got some music on, you got people talking, telling stories, it goes by much faster. So that's the little mental game. So I'll talk them through the whole thing, and it's just a lot of fun. So, all right, I got some new CSSs here. Guys, got the volume down. All right, let me share my screen. We're going to show I think I got 4 or 5 videos to share, and then I'll come back to showing the video. So you guys see this, right? All right. So this is somebody I would say has everything down but the breathing. You got a decent top arm pull. Bottom arm pull is okay, but you see whenever you lift your head up that way, when you lift your head up out of the water like this, you quit moving forward, right? And you go vertical. So this is stopping your progress. What you want to do, instead of acting like a seesaw and your feet drop every time your head pops up, right? And you stop moving forward as you want to turn to breathe. Turn to breathe. Don't pop up to breathe. Just like you would do freestyle. Like if you just turn your head versus pop your head up there, you will do so much better. You can be a little tighter on your arm recovery, but I think that's going to be better whenever you turn to breathe versus pop up to breathe. All right, so that's a real quick fix. Turn to breathe, don't pop up to breathe. Okay, that's because when you do that, it is not going to work for you. All right, so let me see. Got another, looks like I got 3 or 4 more. All right, so volume down. Ah, dang it. All right, let me share my screen. All right, so what we have here is pretty decent CSS. You guys see this? All right, let me start off. Kick off the wall. That's solid. Nice. Decent double arm pull. Could be a little closer to you, like, but it's not bad. Didn't lose any momentum out of that one. You're a good candidate to take it out though, because you see how it's kind of an awkward transition into your CSS. Plus, you get an extra breath. If you can just kick off the wall, like jump so hard horizontally here, like if you just hold that glide position for another 3 seconds, you'll get 3 yards out of it. You're going faster than a yard per second here. And if you got a decent streamline, your biceps could be touching your ears, but that's minimal. Your arms are mostly straight. So that's not bad for a big fella like yourself. Top arm, bottom arm, kick. Got a little extra flutter kick in there. It's not bad. It's more of a rotational kick, even. Kind of keeps you with the stroke. Sometimes, if you're used to practicing freestyle, those legs tend to move with it. Not too opposed to that. It's where I see a whole bunch of flutter kicks like this happening. You could be a little better with that top arm pull. Make sure you're doing what's called a freestyle catch with the top arm. That high elbow needs to go. You don't need to high elbow it like that. I mean, if you want a definition of what sharking is, this is sharking. Okay. I mean, some people call it, some people don't. Keep your arm underwater. Kick looks good. Top arm, bottom arm. Kick. Hold the glide. Yeah, this isn't bad. This isn't bad at all. In fact, if you do the math on this, this is what, 52, 51? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's like 50 seconds. So, yeah, you get in shape to do that 9 more times, clean up a few things. You got yourself a, 8:30. Pretty easy. All right, let's see. Got some more of these things to show. Oh, that's the same one as last time. All right. Here's the second one from that group. Boom. All right, you guys ready? Let's see what we got here. We have kick off the wall. Oh, notice that. No double arm pull. But notice what happens when you do that. Like you're coming up your first breath right at that yellow marker. That's really good. Hold that glide. You can probably hold it for another yard, another second before you pull. Got that little pull, and you didn't skip a breath. So I like, personally, skipping the pull out if you're a non-swimming athlete and not really familiar how to do it. I don't think it necessarily makes you faster. You are doing fewer strokes basically, but you're doing fewer breaths as well if you do that pull out. I don't have a lot to fix on this one. This is really good. Unless it's that bottom arm. Let me see what's up with the bottom arm. Yeah, the bottom arm's a little big. Like you could turn that into more like a breaststroke skull. But that's not bad. I'm being too nitpicky to be honest with you. This is really good. This is a 48-second 50. He's got a little breaststroke kick here. which seems to be doing okay. You could hold the glide a little longer. So top arm, bottom arm, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, pull. You tend to have you see this glide position here? Notice after the top arm, like here, you tend to hold this a little long. You don't need to glide here for a second and then glide again here for a second. You can if you want to, but I don't think it's needed. I'd rather just come up and get a breath instead of holding that glide in that lead arm, trail arm position, which is not as efficient as both hands over the head. All right, let's keep on doing. See what else we have. All right, last one over here looks like.
All right, double arm.
All right, you guys can see this. All right, top arm, bottom arm. Yeah, that bottom arm's way too big. See, like you're actually touching your pants on this bottom arm pull. And notice how it makes a little weird pause right here. See that? Like you're breathing here and both your arms are down by the side, which is fine, but it's going to take you another second before you get them up above you, and you tend to lose a little bit of momentum here. So top arm, bottom arm. Yeah, turn your head with the top arm. Inhale with the bottom arm. Make that bottom arm a little shorter. Once again, I'm being very nitpicky here. This is a 49-second 50. If you did nothing and you didn't listen to me at all, you could get in shape to do this stroke perfectly fine and still be under, 830. I just like a shorter bottom arm pull. Makes it a little bit cleaner and less of a awkward glide position. All right. So I think that is all I have over there for videos. I've heard mixed answers about running in boots leading up to boot camp. Do you recommend running in boots? Well, here's the deal. If you're going to Buds, you're going to be getting Nike brand boots. And let me just say, they're not real combat boots. These are running boots. It doesn't matter anymore. Like if you want to run in those to break them in, do it. If you don't want to, it's not that hard of a transition out of running shoes into your boots. Now, when I was done going through in the early 90s, we were still using 1970s boots, which were Vietnam jungle boots. You Google those old things, and if you get a pair, if you know what I'm talking about, they have like a steel thing in the bottom to prevent punji sticks from going into them. They got a shank in the middle of it for the same reason, just for protection for booby traps. And it weighed a lot. They were great though. I enjoyed them once I took all that metal out and took the heel out. I had a great pair of boots that I've had for 20 years after Buds, and they were still good. But nowadays, in those days, you had to really work to break them in and get used to them and put inserts in them. So nowadays you really don't need to. I mean, they're such good boots that they're glorified running shoes that look like boots, in my opinion. What if I have a lead arm, trail arm variation CSS? Keep the left hand in pointer position and stay on the right side up. I feel like it's faster, but I'm also going for PJ. I think that's fine. You do what you want. It's a legal side stroke. But you may feel comfortable just doing a real small skull whenever you need to breathe. That tends to help get the face out of the water a little bit. But not everybody is going to be perfectly happy with the CSS the way it is. Like we have a guy right now who's mixing in a little bit of elementary side stroke with it and holding that glide here and kind of going right into the stroke. but he's swimming 8 minutes. So I tell him this: if you're doing that efficiently and you're getting 8 minutes, I'm not going to argue with it. I'm not going to say you're doing it wrong because you're not doing the CSS. Right? The CSS is nothing more than a modified side stroke from the elementary side stroke. If you're doing a modified elementary side stroke with the LATA version added, that's fine. If it floats, if it works for you, you're happy with it, do it. I don't have a problem with it. I've seen side stroke at 7 minutes from someone. You know what? I've seen guys break 7 with elementary side stroke. But I will say this: they were competitive collegiate swimmers and had such a good streamline with one hand over their head, solid kicks. I mean, it takes that to be good, really good at these kind of swims. Very rarely do you see a non-swimming athlete get under 7 minutes. It happens. I did it, but it is a long journey. Put it this way: it took me almost 7 years to go from 8:45 to 6:40. Now, also wasn't training for that specifically. No one cared what my 500-yard swim time was. So it was just more of a personal workout thing that I like doing. Is it possible to, or have you heard of, do a LATA with fins for the IFT? I mean, that's what most people do. But the IFT is without fins. So I'm not sure what you're asking. I sent the video a few weeks ago. Might be in your requests. Well, I'll tell you what. Since I got it pulled up, let's see what I can find over here. So I'll pull up. Usually I see these things. But here's the problem. I can't tell you how many people DM me in a day. So I might be able to find it. I think this is it. I think this is yours. So I will post this here. Hang on a second. I'll open up the share my screen. I think I found yours. Tell me if this is yours or not. All right. So, yeah, I don't remember seeing this one. So it got lost in the shuffle here. Kick off the wall, double arm pull, no double arm pull. So I like this. Top arm. Yeah, that top arm coming out of the water like that. I think I did respond to this one. Maybe you didn't get it. If your hand comes out of the water, it's not a legal stroke. And your elbow's up really high. So I don't think you need that high elbow recovery. You're just going to have to bring it up under like this. So top arm, bottom arm. Yeah, see how that breathing is? So remember me talking about the guy who pops his head up to breathe? This is a perfect breathing stroke. You turn with that top arm, and then you inhale with that bottom arm. Your head, that bottom ear is still in the water. That's where you want it. You don't want that bottom ear popping out. This is great. You got a great kick. You got a good glide, streamline. Only thing I would say here is try to get rid of that top arm high elbow recovery, because it's no longer an underwater recovery stroke if that arm's too much out of the water. So you got to recover like you're doing breaststroke. But I mean, that's a 47-second 50. So I mean, you're already sub 8. You get in shape to do that 9 more times, you got yourself a solid swim. I don't think you need my help swimming other than getting that high elbow. In what way do you mean a shorter bottom arm pull? Well, it means you got an arm pull that starts from up here, and if it goes all the way down to your waist, that's too long. If it starts from up here and comes in here like that, that's a shorter bottom arm pull. So instead of a full pull all the way down like you're doing a muscle up, do a breaststroke skull. That makes it shorter. Should I get a small shoulder labrum tear fixed before heading to ANS for Air Force or send it? Good question. If you have, here's the deal. If you have a tendency to dislocate your shoulder like multiple times, I would get the surgery. If you dislocated it once, it went back in pretty easily, you haven't had a problem since, I wouldn't worry about it. So my advice is, if you put it this way, I had a buddy of mine made it through buds. He was making his bed one morning, and we shared a room. So he was making his bed, getting it all military tight, and I noticed him reaching out like this, and then he just falls on his bed, and I had to help him get his shoulder back in. He had dislocated his shoulder so many times that he was making his bed and dislocated his shoulder. And then 5 minutes after that, guess what we did? We went right into log PT. So he was doing log PT with a freshly dislocated shoulder. And he made it through. He got through it. And he was tough as nails. So it can be done, but trust me, if he had the opportunity to get that type of shoulder dislocation frequency taken care of, he would have gotten the surgery. Is the CSS still the only swim allowed for BRC? No, you can do breaststroke. You can do breaststroke or side stroke. You just cannot do freestyle. Thanks for your time. Appreciate the answer. All right. Let's see. Looks like we got a few more questions over here on YouTube. I only got a few more minutes. Having a hard time determining where my numbers need to be before going to basic. Right now at RASP, I can run a 5-miler in 35. Not bad. Problem is, OSUT detrained you before showing up at RASP. If I'm get out of shape at basic because they don't do PT at a high level and I only have 6 weeks in pre-RASP, do I need to be running 35 5-mile before shipping, or is it counterproductive? I would run as fast as you can before you ship. And be honest with you, I know you have 40 minutes, I think, to get it done. No, that's for Ranger 5-miler. I think they want you at a 35-minute for, I don't know. The minimum's 40 minutes, if I'm correct with that, right? So 35 is a good standard. However, there's going to be dudes doing it in 32, 33. Maybe even have a guy do 30. So my advice is get it faster if you can. If you can break sub 7-mile pace for 5 miles, you're in a good place. It's not mandatory, and you're probably going to need to mix in some lunges and burpees and things like that when you can't run miles at the end of the day, and you've done 2 miles of running that day. You might need to add some extra leg PT and cardio just to keep it up, when you're going through those training programs. I tell people that same way at for Navy boot camp. You need to start mixing in some extra PT before you go to bed or wake up early and do it, because you're just going to get out of shape. Thanks so much. I'm out in Michigan, not sure when I can make it to Maryland for training. Well, if you can, come join us. We are here. In fact, we had a good one today. How strong do you want guys overhead before they ship? Not necessarily strong. Like you don't have to do like your body weight over your head or anything like that. I would say what we do is this. We'll get like 50-pound dumbbells, 10 reps, and then hold that, see if you can hold it for a minute. Now, not everybody can do that with 50s, so we may go to 30s, right? Hold that for a minute. On your 10th rep, hold it for a minute. So I'm looking more for shoulder stability and durability than I am for 1 rep overhead strength. Now, that matters to a degree, but it also, you need to have some muscle stamina in there versus just 1 rep max on an overhead press. So I put it this way: I don't think a 225 overhead press is going to help you with log PT. It might help you with a few reps, but it's not going to help you with hundreds of reps. So you got to have a strength foundation, a stability foundation, and some durability foundation as well. The best I did in college on a cross country 5 mile. Woo! Damn, 25 minutes of a 5 miler. Yeah. See, you're going to have dudes like that can run that fast, but be honest with you, sometimes they're useless with anything else. So with such a great achievement as running that fast usually comes with an equal and opposite weakness that will be crushing to that person. Same way for the guy who does a 225 overhead press, right? That guy, strong as hell, but running high rep calisthenics, muscle stamina may crush that guy. So, in the search for finding numbers and paces, just know that you don't have to be world class in anything, right? You just need to be good at everything. So you're probably going to have some natural strengths if you've come from an athletic history. But just remember, when you're starting this journey, there's also going to be the equal and opposite weakness that will crush you and will be exposed within the first week of your selection. So don't blow off your weaknesses and to try to double down on a strength, right? Like if you were Ryan, take you for instance, Ryan, if you were to say, "Hey, I'm running a 30-minute 5 miler and I'm trying to get to 25 minutes so at RASP I can break the record." I would say that's a futile goal because you're going to have so many other weaknesses because of that, and you're wasting time. You're going to be the number one runner. Who cares? How much weight can you put on your back and ruck with it? Can you do a deadlift with your body weight? Or 2 times your body weight? There's going to be other things that are going to really get to you if you try to double down on your strengths too much. Why don't you ever talk about hand release push-ups? Well, no one ever asks about them. My second question is it okay to go rucking? Marching is very hot. Marching is very hot and humid conditioning, specifically in Bates, hot weather, hikers. Hand release push-ups. What do you want to know about them? Do we do them? Yeah, I think they're great. I think they're a great balancing of the shoulder girdle. Every time you do a push-up, you lift your hands off the ground. Good balance right there. I'm highly recommend adding those to your workouts. There you go. Feel better? Is it okay to ruck march? Yeah, we ruck in the hot, but here's the deal. If you're going to ruck in the heat, make sure you have water and you have electrolytes in your backpack and you have a set time and place where you're going to be cooling down. For instance, we will do a ruck and a run in the middle of the heat this week. It's supposed to be in the 90s, and it's going to suck. But it's only 30 minutes in our time that we're going to do it. We're just kind of acclimating to the heat because it's brand new. It's not even summer yet. And we have a swim immediately after those 30 minutes in the sun. So we have an automatic way to take off our stuff and go jump in a pool and cool down. That is how you want to do it. So make sure you address cooling down if you're going to do rucking or running or anything in the hot, humid environments. Used your Ranger SF program a couple of years before I joined, and I don't have a copy of that to show. Oh, I do. Look at that. This one, never lifted weights, just that program and made it. Was 130 in selection. Damn, you're a tough fella. Yeah, I agree. I mean, you don't necessarily need to lift weights if you have some wiry strength and natural ability. I think that's fine too. You definitely don't need to be a power lifter. Um, let's see. What would there be any drawbacks to training for special forces if I'm planning on OTS for the Air Force, not planning on any special forces jobs? No, I think that'd be awesome. You're going to have a serious advantage physically to your counterparts if you're training for special ops, but you're not going special ops. You will probably be a rock star during those fitness tests. All right. So, hey guys, this has been an hour long. I appreciate it. I do need to go. Got one more question I will answer. Um, would highly suggest weights. LOL. Not sure. I mean, I think you need to lift some weights or at least have a background of lifting weights. I will say this as a power lifter, I did not lift weights to prepare for Bud's selection for a year. I focused on my cardio because I was already strong enough. So it kind of depends on that answer. When it comes to getting faster in running, is it mainly volume of running, like 5 days a week, or is um, mainly I'm not sure what that is. Having when it comes to running mainly volume, getting faster in the 2 mile, or quality of runs over volume of runs? I think it's a little bit of both. I think volume matters, but at the same time, I've seen people crush 2 mile and 5 mile timed runs with 15 miles a week. They just had solid cardio base. A lot of their cardio base may have been with non impact cardio. Maybe they were swimming or rowing or something like that. And they could apply that to their running cardio base. And then they learned the paces that they needed. So if you're trying to do a 5 mile in 35 minutes, that's a 7 minute mile pace. You're trying to do a 12-minute 2 mile, that's a 6 minute mile pace. You need to practice both paces. So we would break up the week with, goal pace running day. That's all you did. We do a sprint day a couple days later. We do a longer run day just to practice that timed run event. Not at zone 2, actually test the event. I promise you, if you actually practice testing a 2 mile run and a 5 mile run or a 4 mile run, you will get better at that event. Practice the actual test because you're going to learn something. You're going to learn the pace that you need. You're going to learn that you started off too fast. You need to slow it down a little bit when you start. You're going to realize maybe you need to start off a little faster the next time. There's things that you're going to learn that become a strategy for you to make that event better. Like we had a guy that was talking about doing mile repeats and uh, bike run workouts and was getting really complicated. I'm like, look, just add a 4 mile timed run on Wednesday of this week. Right afterwards, we'll go do mobility day, do a nice little swim, call it a day. That's all I want you to do. We're doing hill days, we're doing beach runs, we're doing track days. There's no need to add something else to it. Let's just take the test once a week and see what happens. 3-4 weeks later, he's dropped 2-3 minutes off his 4 mile timed run because he learned how to run his 4 mile timed run. So I don't mean to oversimplify this, but sometimes we make things way too complicated with our training processes. All right, folks, I appreciate your time. It's been a long one. I'll post this up on Instagram if you miss it. It's always up on YouTube if you want to see it in full over there as well. Go check out stewsmithfitness.com. Tons of stuff over there, great articles, programs like these that we talked about. These things are really affordable. And you use the Live15 coupon code, saves 15%. So even better. You guys have a good one. I will see you next week.